updated the whole system when it updated, so. Hello, yeah, we're good. What's that?
Good evening. It's November 7th. It's 6:05 p.m. Call to order the general services for the garbage fund. If you want to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilmember Keel. Councilmember Spain McLaren.
Present.
Council President ex officio Steele.
Present.
Also in attendance is Councilmember Soriento, Councilmember Casey, Councilmember Vera, the mayor, the deputy mayor, commissioner services there. We're going to start off with the garbage fund today. Roll right into it.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to give a quick overview for 2025. As you know, I was council president for 8 years, and in 2017, the temporary garbage fee was proposed. It was supposed to be temporary. It was about 162 at that time. Unfortunately, we have seen over the years the temporary fee go to a permanent fee and skyrocket and balloon to what it is this year, 254 per unit, which obviously was passed last year. So 254 per unit annually. As you have seen, the garbage fee, we know at that time, it was mostly implemented because the tax cap was imposed. The present mayor at that time was unable to get the 5 votes for the tax cap. Basically, the garbage fee was proposed, and here we are today with an over $3 million, revenue slash garbage fund that we have to figure out how can we phase that garbage fee out. We're determined. I have to hand it to Joe Mazzarillo, Tom, the crews in terms of what they're doing on the streets, Deputy Mayor Gabrielle, Rick, in terms of keeping that garbage fee at 254. To not raise that garbage fee for 2025 was miraculous because the private companies are competing with us. They're incentivizing homeowners, luring homeowners away from the public garbage pickup, our garbage pickup, and providing really big incentive packages. And little by little, we have seen many homeowners go to the private companies. If you recall, prior to 2018, folks, their garbage was picked up in their taxes. So basically, your taxes paid for garbage pickup. Fast forward, we are where we are. Our goal over the next 3 years during my term is to really focus on the solid waste throughout the city, not just the garbage fee, but the bulk fee, et cetera. If you recall, this year we opened the Alamo free drop-off for bulk items, for trash. It was super well received by families, by residents, homeowners all throughout the city of Troy. Which was huge because we want to show folks, and that's what the 2025 budget is showing, that for the taxes, the fees they pay, that they're going to get more service. So whether it be free bulk pick or drop offs at the Alamo, and other things. If you recall, the Alamo used to be closed during the winter. We opened it up during the winter to allow folks, so we weren't seeing as much illegal dumping in the winter months because so many folks might have a dresser or et cetera, trash. And unfortunately, we were seeing that in the alleyways all throughout the past several years. So kudos to Seamus, Gabrielle, and Rick for keeping that garbage fee, and Joe and Tom at the present level. But the goal is to phase that garbage fee out and get that garbage fee as low, if not at all, out of the budget. But it's going, to take all of us to do that because obviously over $3 million is relied on that garbage fee. However, a couple things that we do plan to do next year. I talked about it in the budget message, which is a complete overhaul and assessment of all of the barrels out there. You will see 5, 6 barrels at some people's homes that should not be. If you recall, ARPA money was appropriated by the council for barrels. Battery. 4 barrels all throughout the city. Only certain neighborhoods have barrels. The council appropriated the $1 million. The prior administration hired a private company to distribute the barrels. Unfortunately, they had a roadmap, and I know Tom was very frustrated. He did not oversee that project, and the barrels, essentially, the private company, if they saw, a multifamily unit, they just drop barrels aimlessly. Over in Miami Estates, people are already at a barrel, 1-family homes. My mom, neighbors ended up getting an extra barrel. So basically, the private company went around, dumped the barrels. Over the past several months, we have been collecting many barrels over the past 10 months, recognizing people got barrels that might not or shouldn't have received barrels. Our goal for 2025, it's going to be super ambitious. We're going to overhaul all of the barrels to make sure that, people aren't skating by, that people, obviously are getting billed for the barrels that they have. Some people have gone private. They might have gotten 1 or 2 barrels. So saying that, it's going to be a complete overhaul in terms of assessing who has barrels, who's paying, et cetera. Additionally, we all know that recycling, we don't charge for. The more we can get people to recycle, it obviously reduces our tipping fees. It's good for the environment. And more importantly, obviously, it keeps the recycling items out of our garbage, once again, reducing our tipping fees. So saying that, we are going to be focusing on more education, et cetera, for recycling, which is super important. So, Joe will talk about that. I do on a last note want to welcome our friend here, Tom Abbott. You might know, might not know, Tom had major surgery a couple of months ago, and it was a shock to him, a shock to us. For Tom to be here tonight, he's still not back to work. We hope to get him back soon, but he wanted to be here for the sanitation budget meeting. And we're just so happy that Tom is on a full recovery. He's getting physical therapy and he's doing amazing. So, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Term, that was not for you. So welcome back, Tom. I'll hand it off to Joe, but once again, our solid waste, we do plan to really take a deep dive into it over 2025. And hopefully in 2026 budget, you will see major changes. That's the goal. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Mayor. For these next few budgets, we strategically went through each line and cut some fat through a lot of the necessary things that we thought was unnecessary. We thought that overtime, we're strategically watching overtime. Overtime was spent amazingly amounts of money in the past years. We kept an eye on it while still providing outstanding services. But for the most part, a lot of it is kind of the same. Small items that were decreased a little. We're just watching the taxpayer dollar, and we want to provide that outstanding service for all the residents. So I'm happy to answer any of these questions, from residential to muni to bulk to recycling.
Councilmember Keel.
I'd like to know, how you're going to, make sure that everything is assigned. And are we going to serial number the trash cans, or you put names on there? How do you determine whether that's Joe's trash can or Pete's trash can, or, the neighbor down the road?
So first we have to look at the property and see what kind of units are on each property. And then we have to make sure that they're private or not. And we keep a record of who's private and who's not. So we have to start off with that and go by that. If they provide an exemption and provide proof that they have property, then we're going to remove those barrels. But that's step one. We have to figure out who has property, who has city barrels, because like the mayor said, that they probably have private, but also have city that those barrels are getting picked up too. So we have to do an internal audit and revamp the whole system, I believe.
Okay. Thank you.
Chair,
Councilmember Vera.
can you explain how the total estimated units is calculated? When I compare it to the 2024 budget, it looks like we've lost 700 units. Is that number accurate?
So I'm just pulling up the spreadsheet that we utilize for that. So, this is collecting information from the garbage billing that goes on. There is the various exemptions that come into play here too. You see that less off, but yes, so I've kind of been talking about this. We utilize the existing formula to forecast that, to get those estimated units from billing, from existing accounts set up. The thing also though is we're also seeing less private exemptions, and at least so that number is going up, which I understand your question, because it's almost in one sense we're seeing as if that the folks are starting to there's less claiming private exemptions, but that total estimate of units has gone down. So we leaned into that historical model, but just like everybody else is saying here too, it's definitely time for an entire audit of the whole entire system, not just with the barrels, but is the model of the way that we're calculating all of the units, is that the most efficient? But this is going off of what we have in our current billing department for the garbage.
So then you feel comfortable with the total estimated units at 18,008, and then the exempt units went up about 200 to 4,400?
Correct, yes.
So the way it appears that in 24, the garbage fee was calculated, we took the revenue that we needed to generate and divided it by the units that are subject to the fee. But if I look at this budget, you're showing 14,255 units subject to the fee. But if I subtract the two numbers up there, I get 13,592, which would mean the garbage fee is $266.39.
I don't go back that, the amount of the total units that are subject to the fee equals the revenue needed for the garbage fee. Are you saying those number? I guess if you want to just restate your question.
Well, do we know how many units pay the garbage fee? This was the question I first asked.
Yes, it's the 14,255.
But that is not the total estimated units minus the exempt units. I don't know where that number comes from. If you subtract 4,000 and change from 18,000, you're going to get 13,000 something, not 14,000. Is the formula
The fair
incorrect?
share units that are also included in that, so that the total units is included of the residential pickup and the commercial pickup, which is the also known as fair share.
So what is? what's the-
Yeah, what is, how many units are in that program?
So that's the 14,255 in the fair share units are 663, but that does get us to the 14,255.
Okay, so this is just not a complete list of all the units then that we're collecting from.
It's because like most of these fees that we do collect, I mean, there is a bit of a calculation and an estimate to it. That's why they're the estimated amount. Using it, there's the various, I know we were talking about the exemptions coming off. There's also other exemptions that come off before the reflected exemptions in here as well. I mean, enhanced star, things like that.
The fair share gets added. So then the way you calculate the total number of units is you take 18,000, you subtract the 4,400, and you add to it 663 of fair share units.
Fair share, 663, right?
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. The fair share units, they pay the exact same fee then.
Correct.
How does somebody qualify or classify as fair share?
So you're basically in the commercial district. I mean, you
Oh,
can
okay.
liken it to the business improvement district.
So what do we come up with? It comes out 14,255. Yeah.
So then we only have a reduction of 200 units then throughout that will pay into the system.
Say that again, I apologize.
We have a reduction of approximately 200 units from last year to this year.
Yes,
Okay.
that sounds about right.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's again going like we said, seeing that the folks that are even being exempt off of it, the whole thing definitely needs to be looked at, but that is how you get to the calculation.
Chair,
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
do you take into account, projects that are underway that will be completed in 2025?
I don't think those would be calculated into this just yet, And again, that's why we wanted to lean into that model because, is there ways to say other piece of data that maybe, okay, more folks are utilizing it, but it's tough to, without looking at it completely and really doing a deep audit on everything, it's better to lean into kind of that lower number than overestimate as well.
Councilmember McLaren, the projects that are underway would be commercial. They're apartment buildings and they wouldn't be public, the city pickup.
That's where to just double down on that. If you're if you're over 3 units, you need to use commercial. So when you're driving by and you see those 8 barrels lined up in front of somewhere, most likely that they should be using commercial. They're saving a lot of money, even if they are paying their full share of our fee. And which you'll see, at some point in here as well, tipping fees increasing, things like that. So it does drain on the system a bit.
Are we moving on to revenues?
I had some questions for.
On page 185?
No, I was gonna ask about residential pickup. On line item 408, it's dues and subscriptions. Last year we spent $8,759 and we're budgeted for 0. Did we just eliminate?
Yeah, I feel like that was an unnecessary line. I believe in the past they utilized Verizon for cameras, but we don't have them. We purchase trail cameras that are operated on battery. And up to date, we haven't spent anything in that line, so we just eliminated it.
All right, perfect.
Chair,
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
is there anything budgeted for this audit or overhaul of the, is that gonna take money
That'll
or
be all
manpower?
in-house.
Okay,
For the overtime line item, it's budgeted for 85,000. First 6 months, we spent 17. Is there normally the last 6 months more overtime?
It's gonna be a little bit more overtime, but we calculated that we're gonna stay under that 85,000. Like I said, strategically, we're watching how we're spending overtime while still providing the service. So I don't know what they've done in the past, but we've kept a close eye on overtime.
Thank you.
Chair,
If I could add to the OT, I apologize. One of the things, once again, thinking differently and doing things more efficiently, more coordination. Joe, Seamus really took the bull by the horn, if you recall, and Tom, in prior years. We were picking up on Saturdays, we were picking up on holidays. Now, we'll pick up on holidays, but we have a skeleton crew, and whatever we don't pick up on that day, we'll pick up the next day. So saying that, Joe, real quick, just go into that because that has decreased our overtime dramatically.
Yeah, we're just trying to, be careful with the expenditures and, we're still going to provide that service. We have a skeleton crew going on holidays. We still go on Saturdays. We eliminate Sundays, but if the garbage is not picked up on that holiday, we will make sure it's picked up the following day. And we're just watching our expenditures, like I said.
Council President.
what kind of feedback have we had regarding that?
To my knowledge, I haven't heard any negative feedback.
Okay, there's a lot of social media chatter.
I'm not on social media.
I'm just putting it out there. It's not terribly popular.
And, just on that note, the feedback minus maybe a very kind of small group of folks, we have heard a lot positive. I will tell you this past week, election day, skeleton crew, yesterday, the crews were not able to completely finish because they had sexual harassment training yesterday afternoon. So hence, if anyone didn't have their garbage picked up yesterday, it was all picked up by this morning. So they just had training. So sometimes just timing, et cetera. But I really, really have to give kudos to the sanitation crews, to the quality of life action crews, to Joe, Tom, Seamus, all the folks out there, man. They are just going twofold and really taking pride in what they do.
Just one thing on that, I think just with the public's feedback, from what I've heard has been more positive compared to kind of just arbitrarily picking and choosing which holidays that pickup was going to occur. So sometimes it happens on this holiday, but 4th of July, it doesn't happen, or, so the public is aware about that if their garbage is not made, not a lot are left behind, but it's just going to get picked up the next day. So it might take a minute for everybody to realize that's what's going on, but definitely hearing more positive feedback compared to just kind of missing different holidays.
I would respectfully disagree, but okay.
Can agree to disagree. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds like the new normal.
Yes, I hear you.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
So that's how it will be going forward, at least until the over. Okay, so it's good
Correct.
for us to know that so that we can tell people that when they ask us. Okay.
Correct.
Thank
Yep.
Councilmember McLaren, we do post it prior to the holidays and notify folks. Once again, if anyone's out there listening, please sign up for email, text, because they can really keep in tune with what's going on. And, consistency, as Seamus mentioned, that's been huge. Folks appreciate whether it be street cleaning, whether it be parking, whether it be, sanitation pickup. It's consistency. And once people see that consistency, little by little, they'll get back into that routine.
Is there any other questions on the garbage fund?
How are we doing this, Chair? Are we going through the expenditures and then going back to the revenues, or are we doing the
Well,
revenues?
You all started asking questions on the expenditures already. I asked if there's any more questions. Then we moved on to my questions, the next part of the budget.
Okay, well, I'd like to go back to the revenue then.
All
We
right.
didn't tackle revenue. Page 185. I have a question about the bulk pickup, the reduction, well, it's 70,000 holding at what was this year. Given your explanation of the opening of the Alamo, that is a free service, if I understand it correctly, but there's also a bulk residential pickup that's offered. I've had a number of folks reach out to me. I try to share the link with them as to how to explain those expenses. But would you just, for the public, please go through that again so that it's clear that they need to not put out their item until the day of that they've been assigned. And then I guess the other question is it a per item? Or is there a flat fee and then a per item? If you would just explain that, Tom, that would be great.
Sure. So homeowners are allowed to call Public Works, call our dispatcher and set up an appointment for your material to be picked up. That's your bulk material. Homeowner occupied, it's $25 for a 6x6, the size of a truckload, a pickup truckload. That is $25. Non-owner occupied, if it's a rental unit, it's itemized. So it could be $10 for a mattress, $10 for a TV. That's all itemized on the website or the pricing list. The truck would come if your garbage collection day is on a Thursday, as an example. The bulk truck would come pick up your bulk material on that day. Please don't put it out the night before or the day before, because our little patrol officers see it. They don't know that you're scheduled. You are going to get a violation, and that violation will stand because you are not in compliance with the city regulation. That's really about it.
I think the person who, or one of the people who reached out to me indicated that they'd been charged the $25 and then an additional $25. Could that be because they are not, that they're renting in a building that's not owner occupied? Or is it because it was over?
So they may have received a $25 violation on top of maybe the material they put out. I really don't know,
Okay.
what
So it
was.
isn't a case where $25 to come to the site and an additional $25 for a large item.
Right.
If everything fits in the truck, it's just
It's
$25.
$25.
Okay, that was what I thought, but
You itemize that now? Okay, so that's actually $25 on top of the items that they put out.
so there
it's
are two fees.
Well, there didn't used to be. It was one.
I know, that's what I'm trying to clarify.
There's a hauling charge and then there's itemized charges as well. So there's a
Oh.
form that we can do that, we haven't changed any of it. So it's been past practice. I mean, we haven't changed anything on the forms, but there is a $25 hauling charge. But if there's an added 25, it might be part of a violation. I can look more into it if you
Yeah.
provide me the details.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilmember Vera.
I see on garbage violations, we're estimating an additional $100,000 in revenue. And it does look like it's revenues received have steadily increased, 134,000 in 22, 307,000 in 23. Is that increased enforcement? Is that what that is?
Yeah, if I could jump in, then I'll hand it to Joe. We don't want to fine folks. At the end of the day, we want this to be a partnership. What we do find, and I think, many of you receive the calls also, in a lot of the multi-unit households, tenants will put out trash without notifying the property owner will get billed, et cetera. But at the end of the day, we want folks to work with us. We want this to be a partnership. We want to keep our streets clean. We want, folks obviously to, call the tip line, et cetera, for illegal dumping, call our LPOs. But this is a partnership. But at the same time, to keep our streets, safer and cleaner, it goes hand in hand. We also obviously have to enforce. There is more enforcement, but at the same time, with pitching and our other programs, it truly is becoming a partnership. The pride is building in our neighborhoods. Folks have seen their alleyways come around twofold. I have pictures from the prior couple years. National Grid called me time to time. They couldn't get down an alleyway because of the trash-ridden alleyways. So saying that with cleaner streets comes, enforcement, but it's not to be a money grabber, but at the same time, we're going to enforce illegal dumping. We're going to enforce, folks who obviously are, putting out trash. What we do find a lot of times, somebody will clean out their apartment and we literally will have just tons of trash in front of that house. The homeowner might allow it, might not know about it, et cetera. But at the end of the day, many property owners are getting their tenants to comply. It's come around twofold, but we are enforcing more. And I'll hand it over to Joe, but I really want to make it clear, we want folks to partner with us. You will also see some abatements are in there, and I'll let Joe talk about anyway.
So for can you repeat your question initially?
Yeah, I see that the budget line item or revenue line item for garbage violations has increased by $100,000.
Yeah, so those are just our LPOs just going out there and making sure homeowners are compliant. If they're not, we're gonna, keep on them, and then those interests continue to go up, and we'll continue to send violations until they're in compliance. So I believe for the first 6 months, our violations went up a couple thousand more violations than we did last year. Don't quote me on that, but it's something around there. Like, we've been doing very well compared to last year with regard to violations.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
I'm just wondering, do the LPOs violate on the spot, or do they give homeowners a chance? Because a lot of the time, the garbage doesn't belong to the homeowner. It's people walking by or whatever, and they haven't gotten out like I'm constantly picking up garbage because I live on a corner and people just drop wrappers and, do they give people a chance to get it cleaned
So
up
if it's-
before you get?
If
the
it's
fine?
litter on the property, we do give them a chance, but if it's some large object in the city right away, we will remove it and then send a violation.
Okay. Thank you.
Another, just to point out in those cases, and, just like the mayor said, we're not here to, it's about compliance. That's not, a way to, it's not like we're trying to get more of it. It's just, we do see, unfortunately, it's now that there is an increased enforcement, the reality is that there's going to be increase in that revenue. But that being said, and put out to your constituents as well, I mean, you can always, we hear out disputes all the time. Joe has them in his mailbox all the time for that exact situation. I mean, living in the downtown, it's, I'm putting this on my neighbor's back. I mean, people do it. So, we're very reasonable with those folks as well. But it's just taking the enforcement seriously. I mean, you saw we did the Operation Sweep, had a lot of success with that. Addressed everything from, the litter to, having our code enforcement there involved. Another thing, just so since we're on it, prior to this administration, there seemed to be a little bit of one of those walls between the LPOs and code enforcement. They're working together so tremendously now as well. Joe's come up with some different processes that we're also not, kind of double going after a resident. We're not double spending it, where a code officer is probably less likely to be looking for litter and well overgrown grass. That's something that an LPO might be looking for now. So, those are all things that are contributing to seeing folks getting more compliant, whether it's the residents or, our commercial spaces, our stores that get a lot of the litter as well.
Thank you.
Chair. Councilmember Vera.
Just to be clear, though, the revenues that go into this account are for garbage related. It's not overgrown lawns or anything like that, right?
Not
Right,
code
okay,
violations. That there's a breakup in those.
Are there any other questions on revenue? Hearing none, moving on. It's safe to say we move to residential pickup now. Does anyone have any questions on the pages in between?
I'm just, Chair,
Councilmember Vera.
just wondering if there's typos on page 188 where the 3 items are listed as consultant. Last year, those accounts were spelled out as health insurance, workers' comp, a couple of other descriptions. It's the same, those are the
That's
same.
another thing that just has to be adjusted, like some of those pages we have to pull. But yes, correct, same.
Are there any questions on the residential pickup?
I would, Chair,
Council President.
I would just ask the department if they're comfortable with the budget as is for the residential pickup program.
Yes, we've been very comfortable this year. Services are met. Right now we are short-staffed, 2 MEO lights and one laborer. So that's impacting collection also, when we come to the holidays and, other things like leaf collection, things of that nature. But, if we had the full staffing that, the budget offers, we'd be in a lot better position. So, that's really what it boils down to, for us as far as services. For a long time, we were doing well. We had 100% capacity for a long time. As one person left, we have to rehire, train, and things like that. So there's a lot of in-house stuff that we have to do, after we hire a person for either in the labor category or or as far as labor and equipment operator. So, if we had that full capacity right now, we would be a lot better off. So I think, this budget is good for this year.
Thank you.
Councilmember Vera.
Can someone explain the line 421 services from other departments?
That is interfund revenue to the general fund.
Leaving garbage and going to the general? Is that for?
Right.
Sorry, what's the purpose of that transfer?
So you'll see that throughout the budget. So it's the easiest way to put that in there is that, the general fund supports the garbage fund, whether it's the comptroller's office generating their payroll and aiding in that way, the the department head being paid out of the general fund. It's the services that are being provided out of the general fund getting paid out of the garbage
Oh, okay.
fund. So, and you'll
Okay.
see that in all the past budgets as well. And you'll see examples of that in other funds too.
Any other questions for residential pickup? Here none. Let's go to municipal pickup. Any questions on municipal pickup?
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
There was a significant increase. Well, actually, what consultant services for municipal?
The first 409 line,
Yes,
100,000.
yeah.
That's for our tires and our household hazardous waste events, which some of that does is we get reimbursed for that.
Oh, okay.
That's a great partnership with Bethlehem, the county, and what's the third municipalities? Brunswick. So great partnership for events, but we do get reimbursed for quite a bit of
And
that.
how about the second 409? That's being reduced by 30,000.
Yeah, I didn't see much coming out of that line, so we thought that we kept 5,000 there for emergency, but in the past, not much has been spent out of that line at all.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for municipal pickup? Here none. Let's move on to bulk pickup. Any questions for bulk pickup?
Councilmember McLaren, also, just so you know, in 2023, there was nothing spent in that line either. So that's why Joe felt
Okay.
comfortable bringing that down.
Thank you.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
There's a significant increase in the tipping for the bulk? Is that just what you see kind of trending?
Yeah, we felt that that was under budget and we had to bring that back up to par.
Okay.
Chair,
Council President?
if we're opening the Alamo free, that would then increase tipping, right? So that is reflective of that. Thank you.
And, if I could add, we feel if we have room, wherever we can, we're going to provide more service for the people of Troy. That free bulk was huge. And it's not only a great service for the people of Troy, but at the same time, it gives them back something from that fee. We feel very strongly about it. I'd like to offer more free bulk drop-offs. And then if you think about it also, it's reducing the illegal dumping all throughout the city and in our alleyways. So we're seeing twofold: one, more service for the people of Troy; number two, less dumping here in the city of Troy.
Without that free service bulk drop off, I mean, last year we spent the same amount. So there had been a transfer last year as well for that. So that's why we had to bump up that line.
Chair,
Councilmember Vera?
I see an increase in postage. Is that improved billing for
We increased that line because we zeroed out residential 402 and we just put it into one line, just
Oh,
streamlined
I
it.
did notice that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. But that's what the postage is for billing? Okay.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren?
It looks like we're adding staff to the or hiring for a position that was vacant. The solid waste and litter enforcement.
Councilmember 204. Yeah, okay.
No, it was vacant. We just onboarded within the last couple months. So the position was vacant. It's filled now.
Okay.
It wasn't added. It was just vacant.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Vera?
How many months delayed? And which one is it the MEO light?
It is the MEO light
Okay.
and it's an April 1st hire date.
Thank you.
Any other questions for bulk pickup? All right, here none. Let's move to special recycling.
Chair.
Member Spain McLaren?
So if I understand this, is this things like electronics and the paint and things like that? That's what the special recycling is? Or is that all of our recycling?
No, that would be under the household hazard waste events.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Chair,
Council President Steele?
can you speak to the positions at this point, the status of them?
So those positions are currently not filled. We had two folks leave the city this year that were in those roles. So it's definitely something that we are, the recycling coordinator, we've been holding interviews, aggressively looking for someone to come to fill that role. We are fortunate that our planning commissioner has a really good background with DC sustainability efforts. So he's been kicking in and helping when it comes to some of the different reporting. I'm going after the grants that we have been used to receiving in this role. We did defer the recycling specialist to September of this year because we really want to focus on that recycling coordinator and not of 2025, sorry. And so we really want to focus on that position, not just being about recycling, not just being out in the community, handing out reusable bags, but somebody that really can tackle sustainability across the board, which of course, you know, really encompasses all of these things, not just recycling. So it is something that we are looking to aggressively hire and fill.
Chair,
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
any thoughts on composting again? Like a
That would definitely be something that this person that they'd be focusing on. And,
Okay.
you know, I know that those have been popular programs in the past and definitely something that we'd look to continue.
Okay, thank you.
Chair.
Councilmember Vera.
So the recycling coordinator is not being deferred. It's just the specialist.
Correct.
And then is the decrease in the salary between 24 and this year, is that simply because the previous person had, okay.
Chair.
Council President Steele.
Was part of the salary for the recycling coordinator grant funded?
Correct.
So have we reduced the revenue in the grant line since we have no person there?
Well, I
I
mean,
mean, how do we
we've still-
reconcile that?
Yeah, we've still gone after the same grant, and because it's definitely a position that we, you know, are looking to definitely be filled as soon as possible, but by next year.
Do you know what portion of this salary is grant funded?
The exact amount, I'm not sure. It might be a 50-50, but I can double check that for you.
Okay, thank you.
And just to make everybody aware too, that's a specific grant is not, although we'll also do salaries, there's also other things, programmatic, other things that that grant can be used for funding, not strictly just the salaries, just to put that out there.
So it would be safe to say that with the exception of whatever Randy's doing, we really don't have any recycling education program at this time.
Not necessarily, because we still have our community outreach team that, you know, is still utilizing existing reusable bags. Any marketing materials that we have, there's plenty of it that still get used when we're doing community outreach. And just like everything we do, we're constantly communicating with the public on, you know, the right thing, the way to recycle, what to use, what not to use. So those are still things that are occurring. The outreach and the education are still occurring. And like I said, the other back end part of it, the reporting, the grants, you know, which are very important, are still being worked on as well.
And if I could
Proceed
dovetail
without
what
working.
Seamus just mentioned, once again, we're thinking differently. You don't always need more staff to get a message out. And a perfect example, we literally just this past weekend held our very first pumpkin smash. The pumpkin smash was all about recycling your pumpkins, never done before in the city of Troy. We didn't need a recycling coordinator to tell us this is a great program. We had tons of kids come down, smashing their pumpkins. We had HVCC partnering with us. The county, I cannot say enough about Ann Shaughnessy. She has stepped up to the plate. We're working with her and Jess, who are over in the county, and we're really forming a very strong partnership with the county on our recycling events. So much like Seamus said, you don't always need people to get the message out there. Do we want a recycling coordinator? Yes. But at the same time, we're doing it now, and we're doing that and more. We're staying on top of all of our reports. Randy, with the sustainability background, we've applied for the 50-50. I believe it's a 50-50 grant. And once again, you know, the smashed pumpkins, they're all being recycled, sent to a farm. That's an event we never had. So, you know, let's kind of get out of that box mode, that vacuum mode that you always need people to get the message out there. We're getting the message out there. It's more with less. And next year, we'll even have one less in that department, but we'll have a recycling coordinator to pick up some of the things that we've picked up. So
Respectfully, the recycling coordinator did a lot more than just outreach in the community. She networked with statewide organizations, not only on sustainability, but on other environmental issues. So I really encourage you to put that up on your to-do list.
That's why we are so proud and lucky to have someone like Randy, our commissioner in planning, that comes from a high level in state agencies. You know, that's,
Again, but
With those
Randy,
networks,
Randy
sure,
has
but-
a job to do. It's not a recycling
we
coordinator.
know.
Hey,
So-
one at a time.
So, well, I was talking before he interrupted me. So, and now I've lost my train of thought. Thank you very much for that. I just, again, reiterate the importance of the position. And I would really encourage you to continue your efforts in that area.
Any other questions in special recycling? Hearing none. Any questions on workers' compensation? Any questions on interfund transfers?
Chair.
Councilmember Vera.
I see that in 24, we had expenditures coming out of this account. Can you describe what this account is used for? This is a transfer to the debt service fund. Is that correct? And just curious why no transfers have been made. What's different this year between last year?
Are you on 211?
I'm on page
Councilmember?
212.
Okay.
So I see the budget's remaining the same at $131,122. But last year, the first 6 months saw 28,000 going into that account. This year, nothing. And I'm just curious what's changed.
Okay, where? So it looks like the prior year, there's actually 86,000 that went into there.
I prior year for the first 6 months. I'm looking at the zero for the first 6 months
Mhm.
this year and 28,000 from last year.
I don't have that number in front of me, so I don't. I guess the only without. The 26,000 number, I'm trying to, are you looking at another report? That's the.
I'm looking at last
Prior
year's budget.
budget.
Okay. So, I mean, although those are payments that go to the debt service fund, that just go off whatever bonding debt service payments are due for 2025. So that's what that number is.
So did we make any debt service payments from the garbage fund this year?
In 2024.
Because the first 6 months I see zero encumbrance.
Yeah, we have that exact number I can get for you. But I think, you're looking at the 2024 accepted budget? Or 2020?
Looking at
I'm
both.
looking at the 2025 budget
Yeah,
encumbrances for the first 6 months, which would mean the first 6 months of 24 says zero.
oh, yes, because those debt service payments didn't occur in the month. the
Okay, so
first 6
last
months.
year we
That would
just
have
happened
occurred
to
in
have
July.
debt service payments that were due in the first 6 months, and then this year we didn't.
That correct.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry, I thought you were looking at something. I wasn't following that number. But yeah, that would explain that.
Is that for bonds that were used to finance a purchase
I
in the
want to
garbage?
say it was garbage truck. They previously bought it
Okay.
for a garbage truck, I believe. Yeah, that's what that was.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for interfund transfers? All right. It's the end of the garbage fund. Council President, you had a question about,
Right. At our last hearing, we didn't get a chance to address revenues, and I just like some clarity on some questions. Yeah, I'd requested some information about the sale of electrical power. I don't know if you had a chance to drill
The-
down on that, but
So with that, and I think you were looking for a more in-depth response to my email. I did get back to you, but that is tied into their credits that we get for our solar. So I know that you were looking for, I think if I read your emails correctly, you were looking for maybe a check that came to the city for that amount. That's just not necessarily how it goes. I know we've talked about credits when we were in the general fund and other ways, other various credits that we receive. But that's one tied to our solar through National Grid. It got reported previously as a revenue, so we kept that same model. So, like other various things, when it came into this budget, we leaned into what was done before and using that principle to put it in here to the budget. Now, when it comes to all these different credits, whether it's solar, LED lights, what happened when we purchased all of our street lights, we also made overpayments to National Grid. We're getting credits back for. That's another thing that we have to do a full-on deep dive into, and that is something that we're going to be looking into in the near future because there is a lot of these different credits and things all over the place that we just really need to get a handle on.
Yeah, my concern here is that when we discussed it at our last budget hearing, you were telling us that these were the credits from National Grid, and now you're telling me this is also the credit from National Grid. So I'm concerned that we are accounting for revenue that we really have already accounted for in the expenditure areas.
And I understand that thought, but that's not, again, why some of these credits were applied as deductions on expenditures and then some in a revenue. Frankly, again, we leaned into the previous model, but those credits are there. Honestly, we probably could have even shown more because there's a large amount that are due, but we just try to be as reasonable as possible on the ones that we're going to get to reflect, the most accurate budget that we possibly can with the information at hand. But I mean, again, the question of these credits, not only trying to secure all of them from their various sources. National Grid has their hands in everything. So just because you hear National Grid, it doesn't mean that that's just one source of a credit. So it is not the easiest process to sift through. I have to give Colleen, Joe Mazzarello, a lot of credit in general services. It has been a nonstop effort. Deputy Corporation Counsel, Rick Morrissey is also very involved into it. And just a lot of these, like these other things we discussed about, out of contract water rates and all these other different things, we really have to get into it more to really understand exactly how much we have. But we did not overestimate what those are. If anything, we underestimated them to report them. And there is no dual reporting in here. We're not recording a revenue and then recording the same thing as an expenditure.
Okay,
That I at
because
least learned not to do during this process.
that's all.
In my crash course of financial.
That's a good, I'm glad to hear that. But these were explained previously as the one-time credit to reduce the expenditures. And now you're telling me this is the one-time
Nope.
credit?
Nope. I'll reiterate. They are different credits. They are different credits. One for solar was reported as on the revenues, and then other credits were reported as deductions and expenditures. Why that was the way chosen for it to be done in the past, we leaned into that philosophy, but we did not record a $500,000 credit as a revenue and then record it as an expenditure.
Okay.
We might be looking at right now little over 1 million in credits that have to get applied. We didn't even reflect that fully because again, in a lot of areas that we still have a lot of sifting and undigging out to do, we wanted to be conservative. But I just want to be clear, there is not a revenue recorded in here that is also recorded as an expenditure. That is not the case.
Thank
They
you.
are different credits.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, our parking person isn't here, so I don't know the revenue for the garage and lots and meters. I know you said you once again used historical data, whatever. It does show significant increases in the garage and the lots. They're not utilized to capacity. I'm not sure I understand where we're getting this additional revenue.
Yep. So, I mean, there's a little over $100,000 increase in here. And, the information, just like I said in, my email response to your question, this week, is that, that information, we are seeing it has been creeping up. I mean, you can almost even see it recorded in these prior budgets as well. So that historic data, that is, not whatever, that is what we have at our hand to use to see where things are trending. That's what the prior comptroller did. That's what you do when you're forecasting these revenues. We're also committed to trying to maximize even more the use that we were getting out of those. I know some council members had talked about trying to sell more of those. We're totally on for that as well. That's something that we've already been looking into, but that information is derived from the third party. Why I pointed out that third party service is because there has been a lag in reconciling this year's collections for the parking lots, the parking garages, and some of the metered services. So when we were reviewing to try to forecast these revenues, we pulled from those two third-party sources to see what actually was in there and not what was in KVS, because the third-party service was more accurate. It's similar to some other things that we had the ability to do. It's no secret here. We're still working through catching up through the 2024 reconciliations, and parking is one of them. So that's why I noted that, just in case that's what you were referring to. But I think it's a very realistic increase. It's a little over $100,000. We're seeing it historically trend up. More people are utilizing the space. Although that we agree that more could utilize it, and we're going to be putting a big effort into that as well.
Actually, the lot revenue went down, but I'm glad to hear you're looking at new solutions.
Yep, I'm talking about the total revenue in the transportation area, not just where parking garages, parking lots, parking meters, and also towing fees. That's what
I was
derives that
focusing
entire bucket.
on the parking garage and lots.
Okay,
but
I was
thank you.
looking at it as a whole. I
Thank
can't
you.
read your
Thank you for
mind, so I was
clarifying.
just reporting what the entire level was.
Thank you for
So,
clarifying.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the revenue? Hear none, I'd take a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a
Katie,
motion.
Bill, Bill.
Has to be one of these guys.
So,
A motion.
Seconded by Katie Spade McLaren. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned.
We go right into finance. Okay.
As a whole. Guess I missed that notice.
You okay, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay. We okay, Maria? Okay, let's do this.
Let's do this.
I apologize.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Finance Committee of the Troy City Council. It is November 7th
Trying to make
at
everything.
7:20. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have one item on the agenda, but first I'll take the roll. Councilmember Keel.
Present.
Councilmember Brosnan.
Here.
Councilmember McLaren.
Present.
Councilmember Vera.
Present.
Councilmember Soriento.
Here.
Councilmember Casey.
Present.
And Council President Steele present. All present and accounted for. Folks, we have one item on our agenda. If you're staying, please stay. We'd love to have you join us. We have an ordinance and a resolution. Ordinance 66 is an ordinance transferring funds within the 2024 general fund. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento,
Second.
and a second by Councilmember Keel. Do we want any discussion on this? Is there anyone from the administration to discuss this? Thank you.
Ask the council, I distributed on behalf of us the AIM request to add that to the agenda. It's just a very template resolution that municipalities are passing all throughout the state to request the governor and the state legislature to increase AIM in the 2025-2026 state budget. I'd ask the council
Thank you.
to
Yes.
unanimously try, put that on the agenda, hopefully to act on it, so we could try to get that second AIM allotment appropriation that they appropriated this year again in 2025-2026 budget. Thank you. Gabrielle's coming. Rick. thank you.
That will be added to the agenda. By unanimous.
I apologize. I guess this is a law department transfer. It's from consultants to expenses. So for litigation costs, we have to pay stenographers and filing fees and certain things like that. And the consultant line hasn't been expended as much this year as in past years.
Okay. Any questions from the council for Rick? Thank you, Rick.
Okay.
Any discussion on the ordinance? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 66 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 147, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a task order for engineering services related to a corrosion control at the John P. Buckley Water Treatment Plant. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'm going to give it to Councilmember Brosnan with a second by Councilmember Soriento. And it looks like we have Andrew here to talk to us about this.
If you have any questions about it or want to know kind of what the whole process here is for that.
This is part of the lead issue.
So this is a corrosion control optimization. So that is, the other half of the lead issue, working on our corrosion control actually at the treatment plant. So for that grant award, and the CDM Smith engineering will be for optimizing corrosion control, doing some rehab on the facility itself. We're going to need storage for, chemicals and pilots for other things to try to, work on our corrosion control and look at using aluminum chlorohydrate so we don't suppress our pH as much early in the treatment process. That's a good point. Okay. So we're doing corrosion control because that is, we're adding the orthophosphate, and that's creating the coating on the inside of the lead pipes. So we don't have any of that lead actually leaching into the drinking water.
Right.
So a lot of that happens at the treatment plant itself.
Great. Any questions from the council for Andrew?
Council President.
Councilman Vera?
What, so they're preparing construction documents for a project?
Exactly.
What's the estimated cost of that project?
The estimated cost of the project, I think when they submitted for the grant, was around $15 million.
15 million.
Yeah.
And so the $571,000 fee that they'll be charging is coming out of that 15 million?
Yeah, it's coming out of the 15 million, yeah, out of the grant.
Okay. And this is in addition to the orthophosphate system that's already up and running?
Right. So they engineered a temporary orthophosphate system so we could have that online by August of 2024. In order to have the complete full permanent system online, we're going to need more storage, containment areas, more things of that nature. So they're going to have to design all that inside our current footprint of the treatment plant.
Excellent. Thank you.
As well as the pilot study for the addition of, other chemicals, or removing some of the chemicals we're using now, finding things that work better that have been designed more recently than 1966 or so.
Any other questions for Andrew? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 147 is adopted unanimously. We have before us Resolution 148. This is, in order to be added to the agenda, requires a motion and unanimous consent. So I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a plethora of motions here. I'm going to give it to Councilmember McLaren for the second by Councilmember Keel.
Oh, only one second.
And all in favor of adding this to the agenda?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so now we have it on the agenda. Moving it forward for discussion. A motion, please.
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember McLaren. I think it's self-explanatory. Does anyone have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 148 is adopted unanimously. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Motion.
adjourn.
Oh my, again, everyone is very anxious. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Now we're going to our next. There it is. Does anyone need a break? No. Okay. Okay, we'll move right along to our regular November meeting. It is 7:29. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Keel,
Present.
Councilmember Brosnan.
Here.
Councilmember Spain McLaren,
Present.
Councilmember Vera,
Present.
Councilmember Soriento.
Here.
Councilmember Casey,
Present.
Council President Steele,
Present.
all are present.
At this time, anyone who wishes to speak on any item on the agenda is welcome to do so. We have a number of ordinances and resolutions that I believe are at the back of the room for your perusal. Seeing no one wishing to speak, we'll move right along. Ordinance 57.
Ordinance 57, ordinance amending the 2024 general fund and miscellaneous special revenue fund budgets to appropriate additional funding from New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee for Police Traffic Services. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion on the resolution, or the ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 noes, ordinance 57 passes.
Ordinance 58.
Ordinance 58, ordinance amending the 2024 miscellaneous special revenue fund budget to accept funds from the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for the purpose of tactical team targeted improvements. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan,
Second.
second by Councilmember McLaren. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos, ordinance 58 passes.
Ordinance 59.
Ordinance 59, ordinance amending the special grants fund budget. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion on the ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos, ordinance 59 passes.
Ordinance 60.
Ordinance 60, ordinance amending the special grants fund budget. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan with a second by Councilmember Soriento. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos, ordinance 60 passes.
Ordinance 61.
Ordinance 61, ordinance removing certain city-owned personal property from surplus and declaring certain other city-owned personal property as surplus and directing the office of the city comptroller to sell or dispose of the surplus property. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Councilmember Brosnan with a second by Councilmember Keel. Discussion on the ordinance? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos, ordinance 61 passes.
Ordinance 62.
Ordinance 62, ordinance transferring funds within the special grants fund budget. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nos, ordinance 62 passes.
I would just mention to folks, if you think we're running through these, just understand we had lots of discussion on these during the Finance Committee held 2 weeks ago. So unless something arose in between, we're sailing right through.
Ordinance, sorry.
Ordinance 63.
Ordinance 63, ordinance amending the 2024 miscellaneous special revenue fund budget to accept funds from the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for the purpose of enhancing the explosive detection K-9 team. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second by Councilmember Soriento. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos, ordinance 63 passes.
Ordinance 65.
Ordinance 65, ordinance amending the 2024 miscellaneous special revenue fund budget to accept grant funds from the Division of Criminal Justice Services for the purpose of purchasing law enforcement technology. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan with a second by Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the ordinance? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos, ordinance 65 passes.
Ordinance 66.
Ordinance 66, ordinance transferring funds within the 2024 general fund. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan,
Second.
second by Councilmember Keel. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos, ordinance 66 passes.
Resolution 143.
Resolution 143, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Rensselaer County for a new initiative targeting prevention of childhood lead poisoning through the creation of a state rental registry and proactive inspections to identify lead hazards. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento,
Second.
second by Councilmember McLaren. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos, resolution 143 passes.
144.
Resolution 144, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a real estate brokerage and agency agreement with Here Realty Incorporated for the marketing and sale of a parcel of surplus real property owned by the city. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Rivera.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McLaren. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Resolution 144 passes.
145.
Resolution 145, resolution appointing a commissioner of deeds for the city of Troy. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Keel, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Resolution 145 passes.
146.
Resolution 146, resolution of the Troy City Council appointing Tamara DiMartino to the Troy Community Land Bank Board of Directors. Council President Seal, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
We have a motion.
Motion.
Councilmember McLaren with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Resolution 146 passes.
147.
Resolution 147, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a task order for engineering services related to corrosion control at the John P. Buckley Water Treatment Plant. Council President Seal, Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Vera,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember McLaren. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Resolution 147 passes.
148.
Resolution 148, resolution in support of continued and increased state aid for local governments. Councilmember Casey, Council President Seal at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember McLaren with a second by Councilmember Soriento. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Resolution 148 passes.
Well, that concludes our agenda. At this point in the evening, we have what's called the public forum. That's on any item. Any person wishes to discuss and bring before the council, please come forward and give your name and your address.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Kenneth Young. I live at 391 9th Street. Sadly, here again. I have a folder for my wall at my house. Some of you might know me. My council member doesn't talk to me, doesn't contact me still. So I don't have much representation in Troy.
You haven't reached out to me.
I left you my number. I mean, listen, there's too easy to get a hold of me. Let's stop playing.
Let's not.
I thought when when she was council member, she was gonna help me. When she was president, I thought she was gonna help me. Now that she's mayor, I went to the mayor's office to inquire about this because Dan Levesque of Fourth Generation Awning, Dan the gutter man, he is getting Bain construction and we're trying to get a group of people together. So this wall is gonna cost me less to do this time than it did the first time. I went to the mayor's office to discuss why is the mayor, after 14 years of trying to get this wall resolved, 14 years, many councils, many mayors. I think I'm on my third administration. That's what they told me in the mayor's office. So guess what, Ken? We're not doing nothing for you, they said to me. So finally, somebody stood up and just said, the city of Troy said, we're not doing nothing for you. We made you build a wall. We took the wall, and that's just too bad. You're out 34 grand. Sorry. 14 years I've been trying to get this resolved, trying to get the city of Troy to help me in some way to be whole. You made me do something. Then you said, sorry, it's our property line. You did it for nothing. But I didn't do it for nothing because my money, I worked. I still believe this American, you're supposed to do the right thing. I swear to you, I still believe it. I went to the mayor's office. I was treated so badly. I used to have so much hope for Carmela in our city and one day maybe governor and better because she has a lot of ideas and she really pushed forward. She let this man talk to me I was born deaf. I had plastic eardrums. All right. My whole life, I've been going to the doctors for my ears. So I talk louder than most people. I was taught how to talk by holding my grandfather's throat. So I talk louder than most people. When I'm excited and passionate about something, I assume I talk louder still. I don't know that because I don't hear myself like you hear me. This man came out of this office and the assistant mayor, deputy mayor, whatever you call him. He came out of the mayor's office. He looked at me and he says, I'm going to get the policeman to have you escorted out because you're being loud. And I said, I'm being loud. He said, yeah. So he walks past me, goes, gets the policeman in the hallway and comes back to the mayor's office. This is exactly what he does. He walks through the doors like he was Clint Eastwood, the little swinging door. Like he was Clint Eastwood. I heard the music. He turned around. I swear to God, he turned around to me and he said, in front of the police officer, I want you to keep this in mind because I'm bothered. You went and got a police officer to throw me out because I was loud. He turns around and he says, my mother taught me if somebody is getting loud with you, he says, you just get louder. And I said to myself, whoa, first, you just did what you want me thrown out of here for. But no, you didn't just do it. You did it better. You did it louder because that's what your mama taught you. So it's all right for him to do that, but not me. As a citizen going there trying to get questions answered. I've never once at no administration got anybody in office to sit down with me, go over this and say, Ken, you shouldn't have spent all that money. It's not right. Nobody does it. You sent up last time, I don't even know your name. You sent up last time, some guy chased me out, get my name and number, him. Do you know what you did with the name and number? Do you know what you did with my name and number? I do. You ever call me? Wasn't your responsibility. Isn't that just beautiful? You know what the responsibility is?
Please direct your comments to the council.
You can tell me what I can say and how I can say it now?
Yes, I can. I'm running the meeting and I would like you to please address the council.
He's part of that. If that's not part of that, he came up and asked me my name. It's a fact. He came up and asked me my name because he wanted to get a hold of me. He never got a hold of me. So why do you pretend that you're going to do something, but you don't do something? Smoke screen. It's just mirrors. I'm asking the city of Troy to look into my wall, assist me. I'm trying to get all these people to do this stuff cheaper, reduce costs so Mr. Youngs isn't shouldering this again. I'm going to die soon. My daughter's going to be in charge of this property. The city of Troy shouldn't be allowed to burden me so much that I have to leave it to my children. It's a sad state of affairs, and I'm very ashamed of my mayor. She made me lose so much respect in her office. This man talked to me so disrespectful. If he was at the bar one night, he wouldn't talk to me like that. I don't drink, so I wouldn't be there, but I promise you he would. He can't disrespect. He works for us, doesn't he? And none of you is going to, it's just so sad for a person in Troy. How do you sit there? How do you go home at night saying to yourself, I ran on the ticket that I'm going to go in there and do the right thing. I'm going to help the people of Troy, move Troy forward. I've been here 14 years, 4 administrations now. Not one of you, no mayor, nobody has ever called and said, Ken, come sit down. Let's go over what you got. Let's see what we got and see if we can find some middle ground. See if we can. You can't just ignore it. That's sad. Don't you think that's sad? Go home and ask yourself, is it sad that you just do nothing? Just say it. Enjoy your night. Be safe.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to address the council? Please come forward.
Don't mind me. I'm a little nervous.
Well, don't be nervous.
My first time.
We're all friendly here. We're all friendly. You'll have to speak into the mic. It's a little.
Is that better?
Yeah, and if you would just give us your name and your place of residence.
Elizabeth Haywood, 364th Street.
Thank you.
First, I want to say thank you to you guys for being there to listen to us as a community. With that being said, well, my name is Elizabeth Haywood. I'm a resident of the rough, dangerous, and sometimes disadvantaged.
I'm sorry, we're having some difficulty. Could he be, could the policeman please remove him so we can hear? Is he gone? Thank you.
Is it okay?
I'm sorry.
Is it okay to take it off?
Take it off, absolutely, and
Go
put it
ahead.
close to your
Okay, is
mouth.
that better?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
really
I
good, thanks.
apologize
I'm a
for
little
that,
nervous, so
for that
Don't be.
interruption. I'm sorry. Don't be nervous.
hello, my name is Elizabeth Haywood. I am a resident of the rough, dangerous, and sometimes disadvantaged city of Troy, specifically 4th Street and 3rd Street Park. Let me first start by explaining, when I say disadvantaged, I mean the fact that there have been multiple phone calls about teens fighting and brutally beating each other up at 3rd Street Park. And we currently have active drug addicts running rampant among the streets of Troy. I'm a mother of two teenage boys who I'm unable to have come visit with me and my fiance, John Mamano, which he's sitting right there. And due to the severity of the unstable environment that is going on between the local areas of 3rd Street and 4th Street. Me and the other parents on the street have band together to create a community project known as Clean Up on Aisle 4, a community watch program to ensure the safety, well-being, and loyalty of this community. We want to make a difference and make this community a safer, more friendly, and unified place for our families to thrive. I don't know how to bring this project to the board because I'm also have a lot of interest in running for councilwoman next year to be on the board, to have a say for the families on 4th Street. I've had issues where I've called the cops because I've seen the fighting at the park and they just completely disregard me, saying that there's no, what was it? There was no fighting, there was no arguing, because one of the mothers had said, oh, there's no problems. The kids are just talking. They're not just talking. They're literally fist fighting and pulling each other's hair. I took my neighbor's son to the park a couple weeks ago and they were just beating the crap out of each other at the park. And the parents are getting more involved. And I haven't been able to see my kids in over 2 months because of it. And I don't think it's quite fair that my 13 and my 11-year-old can't come visit their mother because of all the drugs and the violence and the bullying that's going on 4th Street. At this point, I'm leading a group to clean up all the garbage, all the bullying, all the drama, and all the BS on 4th Street. And I don't know who else to turn to. So that's why I'm bringing it to you guys. I just don't know where to go because I know nothing about politics.
Do you have a petition or something like that from?
I have a
do you have-
volunteer sign-up sheet. I got about 3 members so far.
Okay. Do you have a proposal that you could?
I know nothing about politics, so I don't even know where to go to start that. That's why I was bringing it to you guys, because maybe one of you guys be able to help me with it.
Okay,
Council President,
Councilman Vera?
is this focused around the corner store at the
Yes.
corner of 4th and Canal?
Yep.
Okay.
There, and when we first moved in July, the kids would be fighting right outside of our apartment, playing loud music. And I personally, as a mother, I don't know about you guys, but as a mom, our kids need to be in the house by 9 o'clock at night, not running the streets till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I personally think that there should be a better curfew for kids under 18. Because it's just getting worse and worse as we go. We've had a hostage situation down on Ida Street over the summer. We've had kids getting shot at, glass everywhere. I've had 3 different residents tell me that they found needles on the ground. And I don't think it's quite safe. I just don't know where to go with it as a concerned parent.
And you've contacted the police?
I have contacted the police a couple times and they said there's nothing we can do about it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Elizabeth Haywood.
Okay.
I love the name of your group.
Yes,
Clean up an aisle
appreciate that.
4 is
that's
great.
a great, yeah.
I was joking around with my friends one night and it just kind of popped in my head. The other issue I have is with my neighbor. Her son was handcuffed and arrested, so to speak, for helping the neighbor move a couch. The cop didn't get the parent's name, didn't ask what was going on, handcuffed the kid. Now, mind you, he is a 15-year-old black male, and he looks well over his age. And at first he resisted, of course, like most kids would, because he's scared. But then he gave the cop his name and everything, didn't ask the parents what was going on, nothing like that. They let him go. But it's just, there's one neighbor specifically on the block that has been causing a lot of problems, the whole household. And I just don't know where to turn.
Could you leave your contact information with the clerk?
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll reach out to you and get back to you.
Absolutely. I appreciate that because I'm just trying to be a leader for 4th Street and try to clean up and make it safer for everybody.
Well, thank you very much for your efforts. We will
It's
really do
been tough
appreciate it.
because I don't know anything about politics and just like I don't know where to go, who to talk to. Being scared myself, I'm afraid to walk after 6 o'clock at night down the street because you don't know what's going to happen.
That's a shame.
But I appreciate that because this is the first time I've made a public speech and I'm terrified.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah,
You did a
yeah.
great job.
We
I
appreciate
that.
we appreciate
It
your
took me 2 weeks
all
to
you're
come up
doing.
with all this.
Well, you did a great job.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to address the council at this time on any item? Not necessarily a matter on the agenda, but something on your mind. Seeing none, I would just say to the council, I received an email today from the chair of the Sustainability Task Force, who is interested in coming before the council and making a presentation. I offered up our next finance meeting or our December regular meeting. So I'll keep you posted on that, but it would be great to hear about what they're doing and the work that they're doing for our city. So that's coming down the pipe, whatever. Anything else? Any other information to share? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
About the next meeting.